The moment I saw my boss stumble in those $2,000 heels, I knew my carefully rebuilt life was about to crack. Victoria Hale, the CEO who never learned my daughter's name, the woman who once fired a vice president for being 6 minutes late. The legend who turned Hale Industries from a dying regional plant into a national powerhouse. And right then, she was 3 cocktails past professional and 1 bad step away from disaster. The Meridian Hotel Ballroom in downtown Chicago was built to impress. Crystal chandeliers shimmered above white linen tables, while a string quartet played softly in the background. Outside the tall glass windows, December lights wrapped the city in a glow that felt warmer than the biting wind beyond them. I stood near the dessert table with a glass of champagne I had no intention of drinking, thinking about my 6-year-old daughter asleep across town. Emma was my whole world, my reason for breathing. Attendance at the holiday party was strongly encouraged, which everyone knew meant mandatory if you liked your job. So I was there in my one good suit, following my usual survival plan. Look engaged, stay invisible, smile, nod, never talk about your personal life, and leave as soon as it did not look rude. I checked my watch. 9:47 p.m., 13 more minutes, and I could slip out, catch the train, and maybe still see Emma before she rolled over in her sleep. Brooks, right? From operations? I turned to see Marcus Chen from finance, his tie already loosened and 2 glasses of champagne in his hands. "That's me," I said. He handed me a glass. "Hell of a party. Better than last year. They ran out of the good stuff by 8:30. "I wouldn't know," I replied. "I didn't come last year." "Smart man. These things are usually—" He stopped mid-sentence, his eyes locking on something across the room. His expression shifted into the eager look people get when they smell gossip. "Oh wow, is she actually?" I followed his gaze. Victoria Hale stood at the bar, one hand resting on the marble counter, the other wrapped around a martini glass. Normally she moved like every step was planned. Precise, controlled, unshakable. Tonight, her posture had softened at the edges. Her shoulder leaned a little too heavily against the bar. When she laughed at something her assistant said, the sound rang too loud, just slightly out of place. "How much has she had?" Marcus whispered, excitement outweighing concern. "I have no idea," I said, my stomach tightening. Thompson from legal said she started with wine at dinner and switched to cocktails at 8. Around us, conversations began to slow, eyes turned toward the bar. People tried to pretend they were not looking and failed. I could already hear the whispers, the emails, the rumors. "The CEO is drunk. Did you see her?" "Someone filmed it." "Someone should do something," Marcus muttered, his tone making it clear that someone was not going to be him. I watched as her assistant, Jennifer, tried to guide Victoria toward a chair. Victoria waved her off with a sharp flick of her wrist, like a queen dismissing a servant. "Yeah," I heard myself say. "Someone should." Quote, I moved before I could talk myself out of it. Conversations died as I passed, and I could feel people watching, judging, wondering. I pushed it all aside and focused on the woman leaning against the bar like it was the only thing holding her upright. "Miss Hale," I said softly, "do you need any assistance?" Her eyes were glassy at first, not quite focusing. Then they sharpened like a camera lens snapping into place. "Mr. Brooks." That surprised me. In 3 years at Hale Industries, we had spoken only a handful of times, always in meetings, always about numbers. "Yes, ma'am." "You work in operations," she said. "You reorganized the quality control workflow last quarter. Reduced defects by 18%. 17.3. I replied before I could stop myself. She stared at me, then smiled. A real smile, not the tight corporate one she used in boardrooms. 17.3. Of course you know the exact number. Everyone else rounds up. "Miss Hale," I said carefully, "I think maybe—" "Do you know what I hate about these parties, Mr. Brooks?" she interrupted. "Everyone pretending they enjoy small talk, pretending they like each other, pretending this isn't a performance." She lifted her drink. "At least you're honest. You stand in corners and count the minutes until you can escape." She wasn't wrong. Jennifer appeared at her elbow, eyes wide. "Miss Hale, maybe we should get you some water." "I don't want water," Victoria snapped. "I want everyone to stop staring at me like I'm about to explode." They were staring. Half the ballroom watched openly now. I turned to Jennifer. "Do you have her coat?" She blinked. "Yes, at coat check." "Please get it and call for her car. I'll make sure she gets home safely." "I can drive myself," Victoria said, lifting her chin. "I'm perfectly fine." "With respect, ma'am," I said steadily, "I don't think that's a good idea." Her eyes narrowed. For a moment, I saw the woman from the business magazines, sharp and dangerous. "Are you questioning my judgment, Mr. Brooks?" "Yes," I answered calmly. "Because right now, your judgment is compromised." Quote. The words hung between us. I wondered if I had just fired myself. Then she laughed. "Too loud, but real. At least you're direct." Jennifer returned with a charcoal coat. I took it and held it open. "May I, Miss Hale?" For a moment, I thought she would refuse. Then she sighed and turned, allowing me to help her into it. "The car will be here in 5 minutes," Jennifer said. "I can ride with you." "You should stay," I said gently. "If you vanish too, it looks like a crisis. I'll make sure she gets home safely." Victoria's bravado faded slightly. "You don't have to do that. I'm not your responsibility." "No," I said quietly. "You're not, but I'm not going to let you drive yourself, and I'm not going to leave you alone like this." She looked away. "There's no one to call." Those words hit harder than they should have. "Then let's go," I said. I walked her through the lobby and out to the waiting black Mercedes, aware of phones lifting behind us. Inside the car, Chicago slid by in a blur of holiday lights and cold sidewalks. For a few minutes, we rode in silence. "I don't usually drink," she said finally, eyes closed. "I guessed," I replied. "I thought tonight, why not? Everyone else is celebrating. Why shouldn't I?" I didn't answer. After a pause, she asked softly, "How long have you been at Hale, Mr. Brooks?" 3.5 years. "And we've never had a real conversation." "No, ma'am." "Are you married?" "Widowed," I said. The word still felt strange. "My wife died 4 years ago." Her face softened. "Do you have children?" "A daughter, Emma." "She just turned 6. "And you're raising her alone?" "Yes." "That's why you were counting minutes at the party," she said. "You wanted to get back to her." I nodded. "My neighbor watches her when I work late, but I like to be home before 10:30 if I can." She looked out the window, the lights of Lakeshore Drive reflecting across her face. "I'm keeping you from her." "It's temporary," I said. "She's safe." The car pulled up in front of her high-rise in Lincoln Park. Glass, steel, and quiet wealth. She stumbled as we stepped inside, and I caught her elbow. "You should sit," I said gently. "Water first." Her condo was immaculate, perfect and empty. No photos, no mess, no signs of life. "This is humiliating," she whispered. "It's human," I said. "Everyone has bad nights." "I'm not everyone," she replied. "I'm supposed to be better than this." We sat facing the dark stretch of Lake Michigan beyond the windows. She asked about Emma, and I told her more than I ever shared at work, about space posters on the walls, bedtime stories about Mars, and the way my daughter had saved me after my wife died. Victoria listened, really listened. "My life is full of people," she said at last. "Board members, lawyers, investors, 600 employees. And I am so completely alone." The words settled between us like something fragile and real. "You should get some rest," I said quietly. "I'll stay in the guest room in case you need anything." "You know this is wildly inappropriate," she murmured. "Yes," I replied. "You can fire me on Monday if you want. Tonight, I'm just making sure you're okay." Her tired smile was soft. "You're impossibly stubborn, Mr. Brooks." "Yes, ma'am." Later, lying awake in the guest room of her silent, perfect condo, I stared at the ceiling and told myself I would leave before she woke. Before this got any messier. But at 2:47 a.m., the sound of someone being sick tore through the quiet, and I knew the night was not over. The sound came again, sharp and painful in the silence of the condo. Someone gagged, followed by the harsh, helpless noise of being sick. I was out of bed before my mind fully caught up, moving down the hallway guided by the soft light spilling from the open bathroom door. Victoria was on the floor, knees drawn in, one arm wrapped around the toilet. Her hair fell forward, hiding her face as her body trembled. "I am so sorry," she whispered between breaths. "This is humiliating. You shouldn't see this." "Don't apologize," I said gently, kneeling beside her. "You're sick." "Let me help." I grabbed a washcloth, ran it under cold water, and handed it to her. She pressed it against her face with shaking hands. Her composure, the armor she wore so perfectly in the office, was gone. What remained was simply a tired, vulnerable woman. "This is humiliating," she repeated. "No," I said quietly. "This is human." She gave a weak laugh that sounded more like a sob. "I am not allowed to be human. I am the CEO." "You're allowed," I said. "You're just out of practice." We sat there on the cold tile, her breathing slowly evening out. I leaned back against the wall beside her, giving her space while staying close enough in case she needed support. "You should go," she said after a moment. "You don't have to babysit your drunk boss." "I'm not leaving," I answered simply. She turned her head, her eyes tired but sharp. "Why?" "Most people would have dumped me in bed and walked out." I watched a drop of water slide down the sink, my chest tightening. Because I already lost someone I loved when I didn't see how bad it was. I won't repeat that mistake. She blinked. "Your wife?" "Yes," I said quietly. "Sarah." I stared at the floor, bracing myself against memories I rarely allowed to surface. After Emma was born, Sarah wasn't herself. We thought it was normal. A new baby, no sleep. She cried a lot. She was tired all the time. Everyone said it would pass. Victoria listened without interrupting, her expression softening with every word. "It didn't pass," I continued. "It was depression. We know that now. Back then, I kept telling myself she was strong, that she would push through. I thought we just needed time." My throat tightened. One afternoon, I came home from a shift. Emma was 8 months old. I found Sarah on the bathroom floor. She had taken pills. A lot of them. The silence that followed was heavy and absolute. "I called 911, I said. "They tried. It was too late." I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. For a long time, I told myself it was my fault, that I should have seen it, that I should have noticed the signs. "That was not your fault," Victoria said softly. "I lived with her," I replied. "I missed it. So when I see someone drowning now, I don't walk away." She leaned back against the wall beside me, our shoulders touching. "I know those thoughts," she said quietly. "The ones that whisper the world would be better without you." I turned to her. "Are you having those thoughts now?" She shook her head. "Not tonight. Tonight I just made stupid choices with vodka. But there have been nights, years ago, when the pressure felt like a weight on my chest. When I would lie awake and think, if I just stopped, maybe the noise would end." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Being powerful is lonely, Mr. Brooks. Everyone wants something from you. Money, a promotion, approval. They look at you and see a door to their own ambitions. No one just wants you." "That's not true," I said quietly. She gave a small, bitter smile. "Name one person who calls me just to ask how I am." I couldn't. And the fact that she couldn't either said everything. "How do you do it?" she asked after a moment. "Do what?" I said. Her eyes met mine, clear despite the exhaustion. "How do you stay human?" The question struck deeper than I expected. She did not sound like a CEO. She sounded like a tired woman who had carried too much for too long. "I don't know if I do it well," I said honestly. "Most days I feel like I'm held together with tape. But Emma helps. I get up because she needs breakfast. I go to work because she needs rent paid. I read space books when I want to sleep because she wants to hear about planets. She pulls me out of my head." I rub the back of my neck. I try to remember that work matters, but it isn't everything. Emma is real. Her laugh, her hugs, that's what counts. "I don't have an Emma," Victoria said quietly. "All I have is this company. Shares, numbers on reports, wins and losses on paper. That's not all you can have, I said. She let out a tired breath. Right now, it's all I know. We sat there until her hands stopped shaking. Come on, I said finally. You need sleep. I helped her stand and guided her to the bedroom. The room was as pristine as the rest of the condo, a king bed dressed in white sheets that looked untouched. Will you be okay? I asked. I'll be fine, she said, slipping off her heels with a soft groan. She lay back and pulled the comforter up. Her eyes were already closing when she spoke again. Just stay, she whispered, in the guest room, just for tonight. I don't want to be alone. I'll stay, I said. She opened her eyes once more. And Mr. Brooks? Yes, ma'am. Thank you for noticing, she said softly. Thank you for not leaving. I nodded and stepped out, leaving the door slightly open so I would hear if she needed anything. Back in the guest room, I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Mrs. Chen. 2 texts. Emma's fine. She asked if you were coming home to read. I told her you had to work late. She's sleeping. Take your time. I typed back with stiff fingers. Thank you. I'll pick her up early. I owe you. I set my alarm for 6 and lay back down, listening to the hum of the heater and the distant pulse of the city. Victoria's question echoed in my mind. How do you stay human? When the alarm rang, the sky outside the floor-to-ceiling windows was pale gray. I checked on her before leaving. She was asleep, breathing steadily, her hair a mess, one arm thrown over her eyes. She looked nothing like the woman who intimidated boardrooms. She looked young, fragile, human. I found aspirin in the cabinet and orange juice in the refrigerator. I poured a glass and left a note on the counter. Miss Hale. Aspirin above the sink. Drink water. Thank you for trusting me last night. Daniel. I reached my apartment by 7:15. Mrs. Chen opened her door in a robe, her expression kind. She was good, she said. Fell asleep asking when you'd be home. Thank you, I said. I'm sorry it was so late. Emma appeared behind her, hair sticking up, holding a stuffed astronaut. Daddy! She shouted, running into my arms. I picked her up and breathed in the warm scent of cereal and shampoo. My whole body relaxed. I'm sorry I was gone so long, I said. Work emergency. Did you fix it? She asked. I tried. That morning we made chocolate chip pancakes. She told me about school, about black holes, and how Mars would be terraformed by the time she grew up. For a few hours, Friday night felt like a strange dream. But every time I caught myself watching her too closely, I heard Victoria's voice again. I am so completely alone. The weekend passed in its familiar rhythm. Soccer practice, laundry, groceries, and a quiet trip to the library. On the surface, nothing had changed. Underneath, something had shifted. Monday morning, the illusion shattered. The moment I walked into the office, I felt it. Conversations stopped when I passed. People looked away too quickly. I made it almost to my cubicle before Marcus intercepted me. Brooks, he said, falling into step beside me. Big night, huh? I dropped my bag on my chair. What are you talking about? He raised an eyebrow. Come on! Everyone saw you leave with her, the CEO, in front of the whole ballroom. I made sure she got home safely, I said. That's all. Marcus lowered his voice. People are saying you spent the night with her. Heat rushed up my neck. I stayed in a guest room. She was too drunk to be alone. That's it. Relax, he said, holding up his hands. I'm not judging. If anything, I'm impressed. She doesn't even talk to most people. Nothing happened, I said. Believe whatever you want. I have work to do. He smirked. Just so you know, the rumor mill is at full power. Watch your back, man. I sat down, opened my email, and tried to focus on production reports. At 9:15, my desk phone rang. The internal extension flashed from the 12th floor. This is Brooks, I said. Mr. Brooks, Jennifer's calm voice replied. Miss Hale would like to see you in her office. Are you available now? Every muscle in my body went tight. Of course, I'll be right up. The elevator ride felt longer than any train I had ever taken. When the doors opened, the carpet changed from industrial gray to something soft and expensive. The air smelled different. Less coffee, more money. Jennifer stood as I approached. You can go in, she said. Victoria's office was all glass and steel, overlooking the lake. She stood with her back to the door, hands in the pockets of a charcoal suit, gazing out over the city. "Mr. Brooks is here," Jennifer said. "Thank you," Victoria replied. "You can close the door." The door clicked shut. "Please sit," she said without turning around. I sat, my heart pounding in my ears. After a moment, she turned to face me. For a second, I saw something flicker across her expression. Embarrassment, gratitude, fear. Then the CEO's composure returned. "I owe you an apology," she said. "That was the last thing I expected." "Ma'am, Friday night, I put you in a position no employee should be in. I drank too much at a company event. I asked you to help me. You did. Now you are the one paying the price." "There's nothing to apologize for," I said. "There's everything to apologize for," she replied. "There are rumors all over this building, about you, about me, affairs, blackmail, promises, none of them true. And it is my fault." "I can handle gossip," I said. "Can you?" she asked quietly. "Because gossip does not fade. It lingers. It becomes the story people tell about you for years." She moved behind her desk but remained standing. "I have to decide how to handle this. I wanted to speak to you before making that choice." "What kind of choice?" I asked. "I could transfer you," she said. "Different department, different location. Create distance and reduce speculation." "You want to move me because I helped you?" I asked. "I want to protect the company," she said. Her eyes met mine. "And protect you." "And the other option?" She was silent for a moment, the city pale behind her. "We pretend it never happened," she said at last. "Strict professional boundaries. No personal contact. No connection." Something tightened in my chest. "Is that what you want?" I asked before I could stop myself. Her expression shifted, just slightly less. CEO, more woman. "What I want," she said slowly, "feels very dangerous to admit." She took a breath. "Friday night, I asked you how you stay human," she continued. "I was drunk, but that question was real. I still want to know." She looked directly at me. "And I need to know if the man who stayed with me on a bathroom floor can truly go back to being just another name on a spreadsheet." Quote. For a moment, I forgot how to breathe. Victoria Hale, my CEO, the woman whose name was printed on every quarterly report and whispered in every hallway, was looking at me like my answer mattered more than any decision she had ever signed. "Can you go back to being just another employee to me?" she asked quietly. The word came out before I could stop it. "No." Her fingers tightened on the back of her chair. "Honesty," she murmured. "Good." I sat up straighter, my pulse steady but loud in my ears. "Can you?" She looked down at the desk, her composure slipping for just a moment. When she answered, her voice was softer. "No." The air between us changed. Something invisible but heavy settled there, pressing against my chest. "I remember things now," she said. "Your wife's name, your daughter's name. The way you held that washcloth like you had done it before, how you did not flinch when I was at my worst." She lifted her eyes to mine. "I cannot unknow those things. I cannot pretend I do not see you when I walk past your floor." I swallowed hard. "So what do we do?" Quote. Her mouth curved into a faint, bitter smile. "If there were a policy for this, I would have written it." Silence stretched between us, filled only by the soft hum of the heater and the distant rhythm of the city below. "I asked you how you stay human," she said. "You told me about Emma. About breakfast and space books and sticky hands around your neck. That answer has been in my mind for 2 days." She stepped around the desk and sat on its edge, closer to me now, no barrier between us. "I built this company," she continued. "I made sure it survived. I made sure people respected me. But somewhere along the way, I stopped being a person and became a symbol. A name on a magazine cover, a title in an email. I listened, my chest tight with something I could not name. Friday night," she said softly, "I realized something. I have 600 employees, a board of directors, a packed schedule, and no one I could call when I needed help." Her gaze held mine. "And you realized you do. You have a neighbor who watches your daughter. A child who runs into your arms. A life that is hard, but real." "Sometimes it feels like it's barely held together," I admitted. "Barely held together," she repeated. "That is still more than empty." She folded her arms, the CEO's authority slipping back into her posture. I see two problems. First, the rumors. Second, the fact that I do not know how to have a real conversation with someone who works for me without destroying their career. Not exactly comforting, I said. She almost smiled. You knew what I meant. What do you want? I asked again. She stared at the floor for a long moment, then looked up. I want to learn how to be human again, she said. I think you could help with that, but it puts you in a dangerous position. My hands went cold. Are you asking what I think you're asking? I am asking for coffee, she said slowly. Not contracts, not promises, just coffee outside of this building. As two people, not CEO and employee. I let out a breath I did not realize I had been holding. That is still a problem. Power, jobs, optics, all of it. I know, she said, which is why, if you say no, this conversation ends here. I will not punish you. I will not move you. We will go back to strict professional boundaries and pretend this was a moment of weakness on my part. Her eyes tightened slightly, as if that idea hurt more than she wanted to admit. And if I say yes? I asked. Then we start slow, she replied. Very slow. We tell no one. We do not change anything at work. We see if there is anything there besides a strange night and shared trauma. If there is nothing, we stop. If there is something, we figure it out. It should have been an easy answer. No. Keep my head down, protect my job, protect Emma. But I kept seeing her on that bathroom floor. I kept hearing her voice in the car. There's no one to call. I need to pick up my daughter after work, I said instead. But I can meet you before then. Her shoulders relaxed slightly, as though a weight had lifted. There is a coffee shop on Randolph, she said. 7:30 tomorrow morning. I drop Emma at school at 7:15, I replied. I can be there by 7:30. Quote. She nodded. Then we will talk like actual humans, and if at any point you change your mind, you walk away. No consequences. I mean that. Okay, I said. She moved back behind her desk, placing the furniture between us again like a line drawn in the sand. At work, this did not happen. You came up so I could thank you and remind you that gossip is not your job. Understood? Understood. Good. You may go. The formal dismissal would have felt cold a few days earlier. Now it felt like armor, something she needed to face the world again. Back on the operations floor, the looks were waiting for me. Marcus intercepted me before I reached my desk. Well, he asked with a grin, am I congratulating you or buying you a drink because you got fired? Quote. Neither, I said. She thanked me for getting her home safely. That's it. He stared at me. That's all? Yes. Now I have work to do. He blew out a breath. Man, you're impossible to read. Good, I thought. The rest of the day passed in spreadsheets and production reports, but every time I blinked, I saw her face across that desk. I left on time, picked up Emma, and let her stand on a chair while we made grilled cheese in our small kitchen. I read her a chapter about Mars and answered endless questions about gravity and atmospheres until she finally fell asleep. Later, when the apartment was quiet, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. This is Victoria. You do not have to reply. I just wanted you to have my personal number in case you changed your mind about tomorrow. My thumb hovered over the screen. I typed, deleted, and typed again. Daniel. I'll be there. Her reply came a minute later. Good night, Mr. Brooks. I stared at her name for a long time before setting my alarm and lying down. Through the thin wall, I could hear Emma breathing softly in her sleep. I was a single dad. I needed this job. I barely had time to rest, let alone date my boss. But something in my life had been frozen since the day Sarah died. Maybe this was wrong. Maybe it was foolish. Or maybe it was the first real step toward living again instead of simply surviving. The next morning, the sky over Chicago was a dull, smoky blue. The coffee shop smelled like espresso and burnt sugar. People in coats and suits lined up at the counter. She was already there, seated at a corner table away from the windows. No power suit, no heels, Just dark jeans, boots, and a soft gray sweater. Her hair fell loose over her shoulders. She looked younger, softer, almost fragile. She stood when she saw me. "You came." "You invited me," I said. Her mouth curved into a small smile. "Good point." We ordered coffee and sat across from each other. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Outside, cars moved along wet streets. Inside, the hiss of the espresso machine filled the silence. "How do you manage it?" she asked at last. "Manage what?" "Everything," she said. "Work, parenting, grief. And you still show up kind." She wrapped her hands around her cup. "Because I am telling you this honestly, Daniel. Right now, I am not sure I know how to care about people without breaking apart. And I am terrified that if I start, I will not be able to stop." Her eyes held mine, clear and unguarded. That was when I realized something. Friday night had not been the real risk. This was. My boss was sitting across from me in a crowded coffee shop before work, asking me to help her remember how to be human. "I don't stay kind all the time," I said quietly. "Some days I am tired and short-tempered, and I mess everything up. But most days, I remember that Emma is watching me. She lost her mother. I will not let her lose a father to work or anger. So I try. I show up. I make dinner even when I am exhausted. I read space books when I want to sleep. I let people see that I am not perfect." I took a breath, and I stopped pretending that being cold makes me strong. It just makes me alone. Her jaw tightened. "I don't know how to do that. Let people see that I am not perfect." "Maybe you start with one person," I said, "not 600. Just one." Silence stretched between us. The world faded, leaving only the smell of coffee and the quiet intensity of her gaze. She set her cup down, her hand trembling slightly. "Then here's my real question," she said softly. "The one that has been in my head since that night." She swallowed, her eyes never leaving mine. "What if I ask you to let me into your life outside this job? Into the part with dinner and space books and Emma? What if you did not only help me once, but actually let me be someone who matters? What would that do to your life?" There it was, her morning question, and it shattered the walls I had spent 4 years building. There it was. Her morning question hung between us like fragile glass, clear and impossible to ignore. "What if I ask you to let me into your life?" It shattered the careful plan I had built over 4 years. My plan was simple: work hard, raise Emma, keep my head down, and avoid risks that could break us both. Never again stand over a bathroom floor and wonder what I had missed. Never again lose someone I loved. Letting Victoria in meant risking everything. My job, my heart, Emma's steady, safe little world. But when I pictured my future if I said no, I saw the same small apartment, the same late nights alone on the couch, and the same quiet ache that never quite went away after Emma fell asleep. When I pictured my future if I said yes, I saw something messy and uncertain, complicated and risky. But I also saw a woman sitting on a bathroom floor asking how to stay human. A woman who listened when I spoke about Sarah. A woman who had spent her life building walls and still opened the door to me. "I think," I said slowly, "it would change everything." Her fingers curled around the edge of the table, her expression guarded but hopeful. "And I think," I continued, "I am willing to find out what that looks like if we're careful." Something in her face softened, as if a weight she had carried for years finally shifted. "Careful," she repeated. "What does careful look like?" At work, I said, "You're my CEO and I'm your employee. We keep it professional. No secrets that could harm the company. No special treatment for me." "Agreed," she said immediately. "I will inform the board and HR. Everything will be transparent. Oversight, written policies, clear boundaries. No one will ever say I used my power to reward you." "And outside of work," I said, "we go slow. You meet Emma only when we're both sure. We don't rush this just because we're lonely." She nodded. "Slow I can do." Her hand moved across the table and stopped halfway, as if she were afraid to cross the final inch. I closed the distance, gently taking it in mine. Her fingers were cold, trembling slightly. "I don't know how to do this," she whispered. Not as a boss. Not as a woman. Not as someone who has spent years pretending she doesn't need anything. We'll learn, I said. Together. She squeezed my hand once, then pulled away with a soft breath. You should get to work. I have a board to terrify. She tried to make it sound like a joke, but I could hear the nerves beneath it. 2 days later, she called me into her office again. This time, she sat behind her desk, composed and confident, but her eyes were brighter than I had ever seen them. The board knows, she said. HR knows. They are not thrilled, but they respect that we told them early. They approved strict rules. I cannot promote you directly. Any raise or position change must go through a committee. Our relationship is on record. On record, I repeated, my stomach flipping. This way, she said, no one can accuse us of hiding anything. We handle this like adults. If it ends, we handle that like adults too. She paused. Do you still want to try? Yes, I said without hesitation. The gossip exploded once the email went out. People stared. People whispered. Some were curious. Some jealous. Some simply entertained. Marcus cornered me at the copier, shaking his head with a grin. You really are insane, he said, but I respect it. It's not what you think, I replied. He shrugged. I think it's two grown people trying not to ruin their lives while liking each other a lot. That about right. I didn't answer, but my silence made him laugh. Weeks passed. At work, we remained strictly professional. No lingering conversations, no special treatment, no hints of what existed outside the office walls. But outside of work, everything was different. We had quiet dinners in small restaurants where no one recognized her. We walked along Lake Michigan and talked about childhood memories, regrets, and dreams that had never made it into boardroom conversations. She asked about Emma often, not casually but with genuine interest. What is she reading now? She would ask. What was she like as a baby? Does she still love space? When she asked if she could meet my daughter, I told her to wait, and every time she respected that boundary without question. 3 months after the holiday party, on a mild Saturday in early spring, I finally said yes. We met at a small park near my apartment. Emma sat on a swing, her jacket zipped up and her hair in 2 crooked ponytails she had insisted on doing herself. She watched curiously as Victoria walked toward us. Is that her? Emma whispered. Yes, I said. That's Victoria. Your friend from work? My friend from work, I said. Be nice. Quote, I am always nice, Emma replied, mostly. Victoria approached in jeans and a navy coat, her hair tied back in a simple ponytail. She looked nervous, nothing like the confident CEO who commanded boardrooms. Hi, she said gently. You must be Emma. I'm Victoria. Emma studied her carefully, as if examining a newly discovered planet. My dad says you're very smart. Victoria smiled. Your dad is very brave. He tells the truth even when I don't want to hear it. That's smarter than anything I do. Emma considered this. Do you like space? I like any subject you love, Victoria said. Your dad tells me you know a lot about Mars. For the next 20 minutes, Emma talked nonstop about dust storms, rovers, and future colonies. Victoria listened as if every word mattered. She asked thoughtful questions, and Emma glowed under her attention. After the park, we walked back to my apartment for hot chocolate. Emma ran ahead up the stairs while Victoria and I lingered behind. You're good with her, I said quietly. She's easy to be good with, Victoria replied. She knows exactly who she is. I envy that. You could learn, I said. She gave me a sideways glance. Maybe if I keep the right teacher. Inside the kitchen, Emma climbed onto a chair at the counter. Can I ask a question? She said, looking between us. Of course, I said. She looked straight at Victoria. Are you my dad's girlfriend? Victoria froze. So did I. Children do not believe in slow steps. They leap straight to the truth and wait. That's a big question, Victoria said gently. What do you think? Quote. Emma shrugged. You make him smile with his whole face, not just his mouth. He does that when he talks about me and when he talks about you. So I think maybe yes. My throat tightened. I stared at the floor for a moment so I would not cry in front of my daughter. "If your dad is okay with it," Victoria said softly, "then yes, I would like to be his girlfriend." Both of them looked at me. I thought about Sarah, about the life we had lost. I thought about the years I spent trying not to feel anything again. I thought about the woman standing in my kitchen who had faced her loneliness with courage and had protected my career even when it was inconvenient for her. "Yes," I said, my voice rough but steady. "I'm okay with it." Emma smiled like the sun had come out. "Good," she said. "Because I like her." That night, after Emma fell asleep beneath her ceiling of planets and stars, Victoria and I stood quietly in my small kitchen. "You know this won't be easy," she said. "There will be gossip. There will be eyes on us. There will be chances to get hurt." "I know," I said. "You could walk away," she added. "Find someone simpler, someone who doesn't come with a board and 600 employees." "I could," I said. "But then I wouldn't have you." Her eyes softened. "I'm still learning how to be human. I'm still learning how to love someone after losing someone," I replied. She stepped closer. "Then maybe we learn together." She kissed me. It was slow, careful, and real. I thought back to the night of the holiday party, the way she had nearly fallen in those heels, the way everyone stared and no one moved, the quiet car ride, the bathroom floor, and the question she had asked me, "How do you stay human?" That was the first question that cracked my walls. But her morning question in that coffee shop was the one that shattered my life in the best possible way. "What if I ask you to let me into your life?" I did. Now, when my phone lights up at night, it is usually Emma playing with the flashlight, or Victoria sending a picture of a recipe she failed to cook. When I lie awake, it is not because I am drowning in guilt. It is because there is laughter in the next room, and I am afraid to miss any of it. My life is not simple anymore. It is messy, loud, and full. I am still a single dad on paper. I still miss my wife. I still make mistakes. But I am not doing it alone. I have a daughter who dreams about Mars. I have a boss who became a woman, who became something more, and I have one question that changed everything.